at Angie's picture.
Good evening, everyone. Here I am, back again from northern British Columbia in Canada. We thought it was spring because almost all the snow was gone, but woke up this morning to about 3 inches of snow. Looking outside right now, it's snowing, but it's more slushing than snowing, actually. Just a moment, please, and I'm just going to turn off my background sound here. I totally forgot about that. My apologies. So tonight I'm going to read you a short story, and this is from the area of a small town in Lake Ontario, which is in our province of Ontario. It's called An Early Morning Visitor. Here is a creepy tale. I like those kind. The experience recalls an event that occurred almost 50 years earlier. It originally appeared as an early morning visitor to the abandoned hotel on a page reserved for true life ghost stories published in the Edmonton Journal. October 30th, 1988. The writer is F.D. Blackley, Professor Emeritus of History, University of Alberta in Edmonton. The narrative recalls a scary episode in the life of the author while still a student in southern Ontario in 1939. It conveys some of the enthusiasm of youth. In the summer before the outbreak of the Second World War, my girlfriend had a summer job in a small town on Lake Ontario. One afternoon, I hitchhiked from Toronto to see her. We had a pleasant evening, including a walk along the beach. I noticed an abandoned building, presumably an old hotel, a little distance from the water in a grove of trees. Eventually, I parted with the young lady and had to decide what I should do for the night, as it was now dark. A university student, I had very little money. I considered the town hotel, but it was very close to the chiming town clock, which I knew would bother me. I recalled the abandoned building and thought that I might find a ghost, or that I might find a dry spot there on which to curl up until morning. I went back to the beach and had no problem entering the building. I went to the second floor. This had a long central hall with many rooms opening from it on either side. I took a room at the far end of the hall with a window that overlooked the roof of a porch. I lay down on a raincoat that I had brought with me. About 4 a.m., while it was still dark, I awakened with a jump. It was as if I had been startled by a loud noise, although I am convinced that this had not been so. I stood up and looked down the hall, lit by a bit of moonlight from a window over the stair. Coming towards me was an indistinct figure with a softly burning lantern. It was entering each room in turn as if it was looking for someone or something. As it neared my end of the hall, I saw its face, a horrible one that seemed to drip evil. Worse, perhaps, I could see some of the details of the hall through its body. I did not wait for the lantern carrier to enter my room. I went out the window onto the porch roof. As I jumped to the ground, I could see the lantern flashing in my bedroom. I went uptown and found an all-night truck stop where I had coffee to calm my nerves and some breakfast. The cafe wasn't very busy, and I was able to ask the proprietor about the abandoned building by the beach. It had been a hotel, he said, but it had not been successful. Some locals, he added, said that it was haunted by an old man with a lantern. He didn't believe the story. I did not tell him that I did. That was kind of a bit of a little spooky one. Okay, this is Ontario. Let's see what we have for Quebec here. Quebec. Let's read one from Quebec. Le province en Canada pour les Français, des personnes de français. Je parlais un peu, mais pas trop. Okay. We're going to read one called The Talking Head. This is Quebec. This is one of our eastern provinces. We have the Maritimes, which is Newfoundland and Labrador, PEI, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick. Those are the Canadian maritime provinces on our east coast, and they are on the Atlantic Ocean. Then we come into Quebec. I jumped the gun a little bit there and read a story from Ontario. So the next time I come on live, I'll read more from Ontario, because tonight I'll read you one or two from Quebec here. So I'll try to do the provinces. We'll come across Canada in order of the provinces. And after Ontario, we have Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, Alberta, and then British Columbia, which is on the Pacific coast. Okay, the Talking Head. From the days of Ville Marie comes a strange story of the Talking Head. Jean de Saint-Père, 1618 to 1657, was a Frenchman who became a colonist in New France to assist in the conversion of the Iroquois. He was a pious person, and he must have been a responsible man, because he served as the first clerk of the court and the first notary in the colony of Ville Marie. Today's Montreal, one of Canada's biggest cities. Sieur de Maisonneuve thought so much of the notary that when he signed Saint Pére's marriage contract, he included a generous grant of land to reward him for his good and faithful services. Saint Père came to a tragic end on October 25th, 1657. He was only 39 at the time. It seems that while constructing a house, he received a group of Iroquois. Apparently, without warning, they turned on him, killing him and cutting off his head. They did so, apparently, to possess his fine growth of hair. As they were fleeing with their trophy, Saint Pére's decapitated head began to speak. It spoke in very good Iroquois, a language Saint Père had never learned during his life. It reproached the Indians for their faithlessness. You kill us. You inflict endless cruelties on us. You want to annihilate the French. You will not succeed. They will one day be your masters, and you will obey them. Once it started to speak, the talking head would not stop reprimanding the Iroquois. One can imagine the consternation and fright of the warriors. They tried to silence it by leaving it behind them, by covering it, by burying it, but to no avail. The avenging voice continued to make itself heard. At long last, they scalped the head and disposed of it, keeping the head of hair as a trophy of victory. Yet the Iroquois heard the voice of Saint Père. It whispered from its hair. The talking head became a tradition among the Oneida Indians of the Iroquois Confederacy. Okay, now I will read you one more from Quebec, if there's one more short one here. Yes. Stalked by a ghost. Well, that's a long, long one. The Haunting of Willow Place Inn. Okay, we'll read that one. A ghost named Maud is reputed to haunt the Willow Place Inn at Hudson, Quebec. The beautifully situated inn overlooks the south shore of Lac des Deux Montagnes, which means the Lake of Two Mountains. It was built as a private residence in 1820 and served as a meeting place for the Patriots in Rebellion of 1837. Here, the Patriots hatched their plan for the uprising at St. Eustache, which occurred on December 14, 1837. Maud, the servant girl, overheard their plans. Her sympathies lay with the militia and not with the Patriots. So the rebels felt they had no choice but to murder her. In the middle of the night, they secretly buried her body in the mud floor of the basement of the residence. It is Maud's ghost that haunts the building to this day. Today, the former residence is run as a country inn, an attractive building of Georgian and Victorian design. The owners report that there are poltergeist-like disturbances which seem to commence when the winds begin to blow across the Lac des Deux Montagnes and there is snow in the air. Traditionally, the haunting starts on Halloween night and extends through the month of November. Then it inexplicably lets up until the following October 31st. Employees have found rocks piled up outside the door of room 8. Mushrooms grown in the basement of the bud above the place where Maud is said to lie buried are found beheaded. The basement door slams shut of its own accord. Chairs are knocked over. Pretty songs are heard being sung when no one is singing. And there are those who discern in the air the perfumed presence of Maud. So that's it for tonight. All of you out there in literary land who enjoy listening to someone read, that's my purpose, is to bring you stories and poetry. And I'm going to end this session, this live stream tonight, with one of my poems. And it's included in a volume put together by Dimension Fold Publishing in British Columbia, Canada. And this is volume 2. There's a third volume coming out very shortly, and it's science fiction poetry. And when I was asked to contribute to this book, it was shortly after I moved to this new, smaller city that I'm in now. I had never written sci-fi poetry before, and I've been writing poetry for many years, many different styles, types, form poetry, free write, rhyming poetry, all many different kinds, haiku, senryu. So I'm going to read you this one, and it's from the Anunnaki's point of view. The Anunnaki, look them up. They have a big history and very ancient peoples. It is said they're from the stars. Worth beyond measure. The Anunnaki look upon Earth from the cosmos. They are shocked by what they see. What is wrong with this race of sentience that they would treat this great, blue cosmic jewel with complete and utter disrespect. Once so much hope was placed in these mortals, created to take their place, traveling and exploring the vast reaches of space. Instead, they have closed their eyes, filled with such greed and a seeming inherent lust for the blood of one another. We are stymied by their great confusion and calamity. We have worked for eons to assist humankind reach their full creative potential. Our eyes misty, we are so very saddened by the focus and the road the majority appear to have chosen. They have placed their focus and trust in all the wrong places. We cannot leave. We must be sure they do nothing foolish and in reaction annihilate themselves. We have not lost hope in these wayward mortals. They have a place in this vast cosmos, a sacred place the Creator has held just for them, for these are His children. We will await coming days, for allies never walk away. We shall hold in position. They must be monitored for their safety. Violence is never good. It has been the downfall of many, many civilizations. Do you really believe they can be saved from themselves? Hope is eternal. Countless souls are still in pre-evolutionary awakening. Yes, we shall wait, for their worth is beyond measure. And that is who we are, people. We are bright, great spirits of light, and we are now beginning the process of our creative evolution. Thank you for listening in tonight, and I hope to see you again soon. If you enjoy my readings, you can hit my subscribe button on there. I think I have one. I enjoy reading. I'm living in I lived in the city of Vancouver in one of the suburban areas, North Vancouver, across the water from the metropolis. I lived there for 40 years, and in 2018 I moved to northern central BC, to a much, 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 much smaller city. It is a city, about 80,000 people, 85,000 people. But the great city of Vancouver and surrounding area is probably about 3 million people now. So I'm kind of glad I got out of there. It's just nice to breathe this fresh country air. I live up in the mountains at about 2,000 feet altitude. So good night, everybody. I hope you enjoyed my readings, and God bless, and I'll see you again. Take care. Peace out.